Now we are going to dive into jurying. So the blueprint component that we did was just kind of defining. And because you already had assessments in order, the blueprint piece was just a chance to get back and dig deeper into those standards, like we said, and make a determination of what you need. Now you've kind of got that laid out, at least for this unit, defined as these numbers of standards. Then you brought in the questions. And if you found that you didn't have enough questions, remember from our first 3 days, you have the different templates to create the questions that you need to fill in those holes. So now you've got the blueprint, you've got the questions put into place, which some of you may not completely be at that point, so you can continue that work. But we wanted, for those of you that are getting to that next stage, to look at what we're calling the jurying process. Essentially in this, it's not all that dissimilar from the peer review that we'd been doing, but it just kind of puts some language behind it and kind of a protocol that you can then put into practice, especially as you look forward and modifying or creating other assessments that you're going to be creating. So when we jury, you jury basically for two big ideas. The first one is around validity. All right. So the Michigan, you remember when we did that Michigan Assessment Consortium handout that was kind of the grid? We'll be referencing that grid as well. A lot of material is poured from that, but we look for these different elements here. Obviously, we talked to the content piece. We're going to look to what level of performance is expected of students, etc. So we want to look for the validity. Very, very simple, very succinct, something we've actually talked a lot about, but putting jury in front of it is putting language that's broader than what it's specifically asking for, but it's like that reviewing process. So we want to look for the validity within it, okay, as defined here. We also want to look at reliability. So how consistent is it? How does it fit? Does it match what we thought it matched? All those different pieces. So what we're going to do is what we have done is taking into consideration those pieces, and we've talked a lot about these already. We have created these checklists for you, or a cover sheet, if you will. We have them for each of the 3 question types, and we're going to have you now go through the process, do the jury process with the sample item. And the sample items that we're going to use are the sample items that we did before. So we're going to have you partner up, and we're in the table, so that will work just fine. We're going to have you go through the jury form, and we're going to have you look at these questions. And what we're going to do is go back to, you remember the questions we gave you at the very beginning of the professional learning series? We're going to go back to those question items. So we're going to bring around the question items again. We're going to give you the jurying document and have you actually go through that process. So before I do that, though, let me show you what those look like. So we have a selected response jurying item. And you're going to see that the way it's going to come across, you're going to have identify what the correct answer is. You're going to just go through and just check off yes or no. Are those different elements or criteria available? And we've had the luxury through the professional learning to talk about all these ideas. So they're not new ideas, but now we're looking at it question by question. So your blueprint makes the determination. You've brought the question in. Now you're going to look at the question. So the question is, quote unquote, aligned to that standard. Now you're going to look a little deeper specifically at that question to make sure it truly is aligned. So in theory, we do this jurying process around all these questions. Everything looks good. They look aligned. They're the appropriate depth of knowledge. You essentially then have your unit complete with a blueprint to back it up. If you find through the jurying process, though, that there are things to work on within the question, going through the checkbox and the different criteria that we've set out will help you kind of define on what are the tweaks or adjustments that need to be made to that question. All right. So this is the selected response. This is the constructed response. And you will also get a performance task. Nope, I don't have a picture of that one. But we do have those 3 different ones. And so we're going to give you each of those, and then we're going to give you the actual sample question, and then you're going to go through that process as a team. After about, I'll kind of gauge it. We'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'm going to have you share out something that came from the conversation in using the jurying form, with your sample question. And then we'll have each table share something out from that. All right? Any questions that you have around this? All right, let's give Julian a try.